Hey guys, I hope you are having an amazing day. Dun, 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 dun. There we go. I'm just getting some stuff up. We're not doing a normal live because I've got things to do today. So, good morning, everyone. So, we'll be back later this afternoon for a real live, but I figured most of y'all are up. So, I wanted to come live and say good morning and give you guys at least a rundown of what is to be coming up this afternoon. So we know because I went live last night that Richard Allen's hearing has been. You guys are going to just fall over because we don't hear the stuff, but he just decided he wants to invoke his right to a speedy trial and move the trial up 5 months. So literally, the defense and the prosecution has like 10 days, or not 10 days, what am I saying, about 2 months, 60 days to get this file ready for trial. I think it's a trial strategy. I really do. I've never heard of any. I mean, I have heard of things like this, but it's still just a little bit odd, to say the least. So I'm monitoring that really closely. I don't know. Like, that case is interesting now that we removed, like they got through the cult issue and all these other issues. They still have his attorney like releasing, what was it, like photos of crime scene photos or something like that. They released them to the public, which was really crazy. And again, I still think, hearing all that stuff, there was a strategy behind that as well. I don't know why I feel that way. I just feel that way. Audrey Cunningham, if you guys remember, this is the little girl from Texas. I know you all do because we were out there. It was really sad to monitor that case because we knew we were dealing with a horrific person. We kind of, before we even got our boots on the ground, we kind of knew what the situation was, and that it wasn't going to be ending very good. And we had a lot of reasons why. Well, since she was found in the Trinity River, and Stephen McDougal had been arrested, and of course Stephen was arrested prior to them finding her. However, there was a huge memorial on the Trinity River. There was memorials on both sides of that water. So, like, on the one side, which is where we believe he threw her off at, because there's a whole underpass, you can drive there, it's very secluded. Where the other one's a little, you got to park up top and kind of walk down. So, vehicle versus walking, I know he would have been using the vehicle. So I believe he was on that other side where we recorded. Well, either way, both sides started receiving an overwhelming support of memorials under where she disappeared from. And I had spoke to some county employees, and they were scheduled to remove the little bit of stuff that was there, but it was continuing to grow. More people were showing up even as we were there. I kept cautioning people to try to move it to like a city hall or something like that, because I knew they're going to have to remove it. And it's not really fair. The community's reeling. That means the county employees are having to, they have they're human. So they have emotional issues to this young girl as well. They are looking at their own children and just trying to figure out how this happens. And for them to have to go in there and pull the memorial out is just heartbreaking for them, because I talked to one of them, and that was his biggest thing, is he doesn't want to be disrespectful to this little girl. He doesn't want to be disrespectful to the community, but it's his job. They can't have stuff there. And it kept growing and growing and growing and growing and growing. And it was beautiful. I mean, don't get me wrong. It was heartbreaking, because I knew the county employee didn't want to be tasked with being the one that had to pull all this stuff out, because to him it seemed, but he has a job to do. And I understood that. But now they're being respectful. And, they're saying public is invited to retrieve their Audrey Cunningham memorial. They need to clear the bridge. So the time has come that they need to start cleaning this stuff up. It goes against all of their policies. They're not allowed to have stuff attached to the bridge. There's actual statutes and stuff like that, because those things have to be maintained, and they cannot have structures or obstructions from them to being able to see the health and wealth of the the bridges and stuff like that. And people are saying, well, it's on the ground. Yeah, I get it, but that's just the way things are written. It's the law. It's, a lot of these things are in their policies and procedures. So no matter how you look at it, that we knew this memorial couldn't stay there, into perpetuity. But I thought it was really nice of them to start broadcasting this and putting it out on the airways, that they're inviting the public to come back and get their belongings so they don't have to throw them away. Again, if you don't go back and get your belongings, they're going to go in the garbage. And if you know, maybe it's a good idea to go get them so they're not in the garbage. I went dumpster diving for Gabby Petito because Northport police didn't give us that courtesy, even though I had been in direct contact with them, even though they had my direct telephone number where they could have just said, hey, Andra, can you come pick up your stuff and move it someplace else? Yes, no problem. I go there and I find out they threw the stuff away, and I asked them where they did that. They said they respectfully removed it. So then I broadcasted how respectfully they removed it, as the guy is just breaking shit and throwing it into the back of his truck, like with not a care in the world that this girl was brutally murdered by her boyfriend. I digress. So that was, obviously something I did. I went dumpster diving for Gabby. We had just put that up too. They should have been a little more respectful for that on that. There's also another part, Laken Riley, a college student out of Georgia University. She was brutally attacked on the running trail. I just want to give a big shout out to Vinnie Politan for somebody finally bringing up last night, whether or not, maybe it was the night before, I might have been watching a rerun, I'm unsure, where he said, I wonder how many other victims he has, either in his country or here. And I was like, finally, somebody's moving the needle on this, bringing it on a national platform. Is there other victims? Because you guys know how I feel about Rachel Morin. And it's like I feel like there's something there, but I keep going back to the sketch, the forensic sketch, and I keep going back, and there are some similarities, but there are some differences too. And I have to acknowledge the differences as much as I've got to acknowledge the similarities. And there may not be anything there. There may not be any meat to the bone, whether this attacker was the one for Rachel Morin. But I'm still just saying, how many Hispanic males between 20 and 30 are attacking women on trails and bludgeoning them? There's 2 cases right now that I know of. Now, are there more? Probably. But these are the 2 cases I know about. And it's just very, very scary. And then you're looking at the guy wears hats. He's got a weird, shave pattern behind his ears. It just makes you stop and pause. But, most of us are concerned about the well-being of the Riley family, getting justice for Riley. Meanwhile, Biden is concerned about the illegal aliens, the illegal migration problem, and offending an illegal by calling them an illegal. They're illegal. They're not supposed to be here. They violated our law, broke through our border, and are forcing us to pay for them. Okay? So, yes, they are illegal. And if they have an offended problem being called illegal, oh, effing well. Who do you represent? The fucking illegals or the Americans? Because the one I care about is Laken Riley. And you can't even get the damn president to say her name right, or even show her even the tiniest little bit of respect for what she and her family have gone through. Piece of shit president. You don't like it? Oh, well, that was bull crap. Piece of garbage. More concerned about offending an illegal than saying her name. We need change. I'm not getting on the soapbox today. I don't have time. But when I have time to get on the soapbox, and I have time to bash that man, I am going to do it, because damn to him. You got an American citizen that did nothing wrong, promising nursing student, and you're concerned about offending a fucking illegal? Oh, well. They know they're here illegally. Do they not? Do these people actually think that they're legal? No. They know damn well what they're doing is illegal, i.e. illegal. They know what they're doing. These people that cross our borders know they're doing it illegally. Don't act like they don't. It's offensive to me. It's offensive to me when we cannot call someone exactly what they are. It's not racist. It's not anything. It is literally in our statute. Literally in our freaking statute. But I digress. I digress. You guys vote your conscience. I'm going to vote mine. But there ain't no damn way I'm voting for a piece of garbage president like this that sits there and is concerned more about an illegal alien than they are about their own citizen being killed by that very illegal alien. You know what he gets from me? A big F you. And a big F. A big F. A big F. All right. So Maddie Soto. This is a case that we've been covering. We're uncovering a little bit. Nothing like groundbreaking. Let's be honest. Nobody's really uncovering any groundbreaking information. But what I can tell you is we're uncovering some cracks in the facade of the family. You know, I've been a strong supporter of Jen Soto because I'd like to know more. You're going to have to give me a lot more to get me off the fence when it comes to her because of the situation at hand. And because I'm analyzing this a little bit differently, I'm analyzing this as Stefan Stearns is a predator and was in that relationship to get to that child. That's the way I'm looking at this case. Now, that very assessment right there could be completely wrong, which would mean my entire assessment's wrong. But I have a funny feeling it is more correct than not. So when it comes to Jen, you know, a lot of the questions, did she know anything? Of course, we don't have those answers. We can assume, we can speculate, but nobody really has those answers, what she knew and how much she did know. So what we're looking at now is behaviors, you know, what was going on in and around their family, you know, not just recently, but years ago. How was the family dynamic? How was the family structure, makeup? How was it functioning? Was it functioning well? Were they blending well as a family, bringing and introducing the stepfather or step parent or partner into that? And we're going to be referring to step parent, partner, and everything kind of interchangeably. I'm not saying that we all know that Stefan Stearns was not married to Jen Soto. So legally, lawfully, factually, he is not a step parent. However, he has been in this child's life for a significant amount of time, 8 years. That means that literally he watched Maddie grow up. She was literally 5, maybe 6 years old at the time he got with her mother. Which gives another, and I always say this when I say that, another level of depravity to it because he literally watched her grow up from a kid, you know, from almost a baby, a toddler. You know, I know toddlers are, you know, 3, 4, whatever. She was 5, 6 years old. Okay, so she wasn't an adolescent. She was a kid. She was a freaking kid, and he watched her grow up. Granted, she was out of diapers by the time, you know, mom and him got together. But holy crap, what if? Was he responsible for giving her baths at that time? You see where my head is going? Like, it just goes into a million different directions when it comes to Stefan Stearns because I truly believe the man is a predator. And I truly believe he manipulated Jen a lot. And I truly believe that she had a bipolar disorder that he manipulated and used against her to help control her. For example, whenever you have something going on, what if he's saying like, don't be touching her like that. Don't do this. Oh, you're just making stuff up. Go take one of your medications. Go take your pill. You're acting crazy, Jen. Go take your pill. You're seeing shit that ain't there. So I feel like he's using her own illness that she's, obviously taking medication for and trying to make sure it's stable and everything like that. I feel like he's using that against her to help control her. We've seen it happen in the past. It's mental abuse, right? Mental, verbal, emotional abuse. Kind of sounds like a Krusty Krab show, doesn't it? But, people obviously have been affected by this across this country. But I just want to break down what we kind of know factually, what the only factual things that the public really does know to be true, right? And it's on February 26th, Madeline Soto's mother realized her daughter did not make it to school. She called law enforcement. We've now learned that school notification, I know a lot of people, one of the first things is when did the school notify? Guys, I'm surprised to say she was already talking to law enforcement when she was getting notification that her child had not been to school. According to the school, their notifications go out around 8 o'clock at night. As many of you know, she started calling law enforcement around 4:30, 4:45. So she was literally dealing with law enforcement because her child was missing as her phone is ringing to tell her her child is missing. She had been searching for her child for 4 hours, 4 hours before the school even notified her that her child was missing. So obviously, Orange County is looking at their notifications right now. They're saying, hey, you know what? In light of this, we're realizing this is detrimental. The people are not notifying until the end of the day to find out their children aren't even in school by that time. So, and this is what happened, remember, in Audrey Cunningham's case. Nobody was really notified that she was missing from school. They were already dealing with cops by the time they were getting the notifications that she was missing from school. That's not working well, because we are in an environment where people are preying on our children. As sick as that is sounding, it is true. They're preying on our children. So on February 26th, Madeline Soto's mother, Jennifer Soto, reported to Orange County deputies that her daughter had disappeared. On February 27th, she gave an interview with Channel 9 the day after her daughter had been missing. We have looked at that, we have analyzed that, and we know she was being deceptive in part, right? This was already after her being in that house with Stefan Stearns all night long, probably going through every possible theory, questioning him what happened, him lying to her, him saying, I would never touch my daughter, I'd never hurt her, I loved our family, manipulating, being cunning, being conniving. I just feel like those things were going on, but I digress. Those are still just things that I'm assuming happened, not that they did. Jennifer Soto said that her boyfriend Stefan dropped her daughter off at a church near Hunters Creek Middle School where she was a student. Stern also told investigators Madeline Soto wanted to walk the rest of the way to school, but never made it. And I looked at where that church was, and it was across like a 4 or 5, maybe a 6-lane highway. Not that that's a problem. We have those here. Kids have to cross those highways all the time. I don't know if there was a crossing guard to help them get across, 4 or 5 lanes of traffic. But it's not, it just seems to me that a parent would remove as many obstacles that could injure their child as possible. Therefore, maybe instead of being on that side of the highway, maybe getting on the side of the highway by the school and dropping them off down at the end of the road where the school is, right? Where they just have to walk a sidewalk up to the school. So even that really kind of has I have a problem with where he dropped her off at, or at least allegedly. Clearly he didn't drop her off. She never left the house that morning alive. So there is that. I believe, and I don't even know when she lost her life. Was it early that morning or the night before? I feel like it was the night before, like after her mom swallowed a mouthful of pills and passed out and was, an earthquake could hit the house and she wouldn't have woke up. I feel like something happened then. Maybe she fought him. Maybe she was tired of it and it just got out of control. And her mom was absolutely assed out and didn't hear a damn thing. There is possibility of that. On February 28th, which was a Wednesday, the sheriff John Mina, his deputies were working on several other agencies to search for Madeline Soto in areas where she was reportedly last seen. Orange County Sheriff's Office said more than 50 members of the emergency response team were searching for Madeline Soto. Then we moved to February 29th, which was Thursday. Sheriff's Office then said that they believe Stern never dropped Madeline off and is considered the prime suspect in her disappearance. So it wasn't until the 29th, and it's my understanding that Madeline's mom never gave any interviews after that initial day or two. The first day or two is when Madeline and her mother, or not Madeline, excuse me, Jennifer and her mother, Madeline's grandmother, did a few interviews. Her grandmother did interviews on Telemundo in Spanish, which was really good because it got it out to the Spanish-speaking community. And Jen did, I think, Fox 35 and another channel. I don't remember what other channel. There was 2 different interviews she gave. One was through the computer and one was in person. The one in the computer on the computer was weird because you had Stefan Stearns kind of position himself so she could see him in the video. And it was just really weird. Um, so we're finding out some of the language he was using in 2022, right around the time that law enforcement believes he started physically abusing Madeline Soto. If that's accurate, they're talking about a phone. How long has that phone been in his possession? Are there any other phones? Are there any other history of abuses? We don't know. But I have to think a man that can do this is capable of just about anything. And so many people want to know what's on his prior phones. Where are his prior phones? And I don't know. I'm sure law enforcement has a way to look back, with all the services, Google, stuff like that. They have to store our information for a significant number of years. Many of you know we don't really do anything without Google. Google is like the basis of just about every program that's used. So I think there's ways for them to still do some data. Forensic data research and stuff like that for this case to find out had it happened before. But even if it hadn't to that degree happened before, I believe there was a lot of uncomfortable things going on in that house. And he even went to social media on Reddit and started going in there talking about, it seemed like he was a little upset that somebody was not showing affection, which I just find disgusting. And he was going into Reddit, and people were like, you just need to leave the kids alone. And he starts arguing with them. I'm not talking about, this, that, and the other. I'm talking about sweet, dear old grandma. You're not even going to give her a hug and a kiss. And it was just really bizarre, like him wanting to just solidify his point. And it was just a little bizarre because this is around the time that they believe that Madeline started getting abused by him. And if that's the case, he's having these statements talking about, P's and R's and stuff like that, pedos and R's, right? Arists. So you guys know what R I'm talking about, arists. And I thought that was a really strained conversation to bring in, pedos and arists whenever you're talking about hugging grandma. So clearly there are some things going on in this family that he's trying to argue and so I do believe that maybe Madeline or Jen had seen him, either touch her in a weird way or not comfortable, and probably said something to him, and he got pissed and wanted to unalive himself over it, because that seems like what his MO was. When he didn't get his way, he started threatening Jen that he's going to take himself out. So he ended up getting arrested, I believe, on March 1st. They confirmed she was dead. And police said Stearns was at the intersection where they eventually found her. And I can't remember, was it the 29th that he was arrested, captured on throwing her laptop? I can't remember what a specific day. I think it was the 28th. It was the 28th or the 1st. I can't remember. I think the 1st is when they found her, and the 28th. And he had been in jail for 2 days prior to that. Let me see if he was on Wednesday evening. Yeah, they arrested him. So it was the 28th. They arrested him in the evening of the 28th for the stuff they found on his phone. And we're going to dive, like I said, we're going to dive into this a little bit more. Now, lastly, I'm just going to touch before I let you guys go and start getting ready for my day. Again, we'll be back this afternoon to dive into these things a little bit deeper. This is just a cursory review, just to say hi to you guys. I didn't want to ghost you guys this morning since it's a regular day. And I just got a lot of stuff. I didn't think I was going to be doing some stuff. I just got a text message this morning to be ready. So I've got to get up and get my day started. I've got a lot of meetings and stuff like that to do today. So we're just going to just keep going, but it's going to push the live back until this afternoon. So now we're getting into the Sebastian Rogers, and we're going to close with Sebastian Rogers this morning. And Sebastian Rogers is a 15-year-old autistic boy. There's a lot of stuff going on. The stepfather, he's had a violent past. He's got domestic violence. It's not looking good. The mom, there was a few things that I saw in the interview with the mom that just wasn't sitting right with me. She seems like a nice, caring woman. The father seems like, I don't know what's what's happening. I don't know if the 15-year-old did just walk off. Maybe he was being treated very, very badly. But when you start looking in the landfills, I see the direction of law enforcement, and they don't believe this kid's alive. They're hopeful he is. They're hoping that they are wrong, but it doesn't appear that the facts are supporting that. And so now that we're looking into this as foul play, who was in and around this child and who has been in and around this child. And there hasn't been too many people in and around this child. And so it's putting the focus squarely on the last two people that saw him alive, and that's his mom and his stepfather. His stepfather never kind of rubbed me the right way. I don't, his stepfather seems like he's well spoken, but in all fairness, there's just something about him that rubs me the wrong way. And I don't want to say that aloud without having something to corroborate that feeling. And I just don't. But now that we're going on this day and I haven't had an opportunity to really dive in and to look into their background, I'm just going to say that something stinks to high heaven to me. I haven't figured out what it is yet. But I have to, with a history of domestic violence, and we know how lethal domestic violence is, I'm going to venture to say that something happened. And God forgive me if these parents are innocent. And it's probably a little premature for me to say that, but I've been reviewing some things, and from some trusted people, I know that the stepfather has some issues. And then we learn from his real biological father that he would never wander off alone. There are people with autism that are wanderers. And from everything we're learning about Sebastian, he did not, he didn't fit in that category. He was not, from my understanding, a wanderer. Even as a child, he was not a wanderer, from my understanding. So if he has autism and he's never been a wanderer before, that's the neat thing about autism, is that it's not a spontaneous type of thing. Structure is really the name of the game. Structure, schedules, keeping things exactly the same day in and day out as much as possible really helps for an autistic child to thrive. So I don't see an autistic child just automatically going in the opposite direction of what they're accustomed to doing, because it doesn't go with what you've learned about the illness. So if he was not a wanderer, then he's not going to just one day wake up and become a wanderer. That's just my understanding of it. I could be wholly wrong. There may be an outlier out there, just because 90% of autistic children that have never wandered don't wander doesn't mean that the other 10% won't. They're absolutely fair with that assessment. My money is on the stepdad. Yes, but this is one where I've got to say, mom would have known. In Maddie Soto, with everything I'm finding out with Maddie Soto's case, it's like did she know? Did she not? Was she in denial? Was she manipulated? All these things. But in this case with Sebastian, the unfortunate thing is that mom would have had to know. I don't see dad being able to pull something off, or stepdad being able to pull something off like this without the help of his wife, especially when it's going on, when it happened in the house. But then the same thing could be said about Maddie Soto. Why didn't her mother hear about it if it happened in the house? Because we have we have corroborated information that she was on medication that put her out and knocked her out at night. We're not getting that information from this lady here. And from everything we've learned, is that day was no different than any other day in the Soto house. So we're not seeing that in the case of Sebastian Rogers. So there are some differences in the case and in the parties involved. Does it mean that my assessment's right? No, it doesn't. Could it be that Maddie's mom knew and Sebastian's mom was clueless? Yeah, it could mean just that. When we're in the speculation world, anything could be. So we have to look at both sides of it. But for whatever reason, in this case, this is one of those things, because the mom sitting right next to that father, and she knew. I feel like she knew, and I know. But that's just my opinion. That's just one girl's opinion. That's just one girl's opinion. So I'm waiting to hear about more about the stepfather. The stepfather is who I'd be looking at. But you know what? We cover a lot of cases of really, really bad people, and sometimes mom is involved. I mean, look at what half of our audience believes that Jen Soto was involved in the whatever went on with her daughter. So it's our opinions, and we just pray to God that these opinions we have of these parents don't pan out. Right? We don't. In all fairness, we want to be wrong about that. We don't ever want to think that a child was injured or murdered by their parent. That just to the civilized environment, to the civilized of us, it makes us sick. It saddens us. It hurts us inside. So we just don't want it. But anyways, guys, I want to tell you that's just the rundown, the Reader's Digest version of everything that we're going to be going over later this afternoon. I wish I had more time to spend with you guys this morning, but I don't. I've got to get ready, and I've got to get out the door, and I'm down like 4 flat tires, right? So I don't have a vehicle at the moment, so I'm at the mercy of the people that are picking me up. So I got to be ready. I can't make them late while they're helping me out, right? So, anyways, guys, I'll let you know when the car gets out of the shop. Let's keep the fingers crossed. Maybe we'll have it back by this weekend. But it sounds like no matter what, I should have it back by Monday or so. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. I'm kind of I'm a little nervous. I got to say, a little nervous. So, anyways. All right, guys, I love you. Take care and God bless.